Thank you, Dr. Kalan. Good morning, everyone. Now, what I'm about to do is, you can take notes, of course, but I'm not sharing the PPT as you expect at the end of the presentation. You're free to take notes. And in the middle of the presentation, I might ask you some questions. I might ask you to get up, or raise your hand, so that is normal, as in a class. And what I'm about to say now is probably not new. You probably do it every day. But it's worthwhile reminding you of what we should do for both study skills and time management. Now, so why are study habits and time management important? First of all, I don't need to tell you, in learning, there's effective time use, but most importantly, I think most of us tend to suffer from a lot of stress in deadlines and there's a lot of anxiety connected with cramming, last minute cramming and missed deadlines, which actually leads to a very disbalanced lifestyle and a very unhealthy lifestyle. So if you are able to manage your time well and develop good study habits and skills, you will be able to reduce stress, and it's also very important for long-term personal growth. So it will foster for you a greater sense of discipline and responsibility and perhaps self-awareness as well. Now, what are SMART goals? The first on the left is, if you can define SMART. First is specific. So ask yourself, what do I want to accomplish? Why is this goal important? Who is involved? Who is involved in the sense that, who is my resource person? Who do I go to for help? And what limits? What are the limits? What limits can I foresee will happen in the future? It should be measurable in the sense that we should have an outcome, so you can track your progress and stay motivated. And assessing progress will help you stay focused. It should be achievable. Your goals need to be realistic. Now, what I mean by that is that if you're getting a C or a D, the goal should not immediately be an A or an A star. I'd like to put it down as a percentage. So supposing you're getting 55%, you should first work on understanding why you have lost the 45%. What has happened? What can I do to achieve the rest of the 45%? And the goal should be, okay, I'll increase it from 55 to 60 and increase that through the year. It should be measurable in your own mind. And you should set realistic and attainable goals that will make you successful. So stretch your abilities, but ensure that they are achievable and not possible. It should be relevant. This step is about ensuring that your goals matter to you and that it also aligns with other relevant goals. We all need support and assistance in achieving our goals, but it's important to retain control over them. So as you drive your plan forward, you should be responsible and you should feel it's relevant to you personally. And the last one is time bound. Set yourself a target. TISB works largely on deadlines and time. So ensure that you have a deadline to focus on. I cannot stress this enough, the importance of a study schedule. Those of you who come to me, I actually sit down with you and make a study schedule. This is just a sample. You're free to, many of you have 11 subjects, some of you have 12, some of you have 9, some of you have 6. In 11 and 12, you additionally must plan for CAS, TOP and extended essay. To create a study schedule, first of all, identify the time blocks. You have a certain number of hours only in a day. Be very flexible also, in the sense that you must allow room for adjustment for co-curricular activities. They are important for a healthy lifestyle. Plan ahead. in a sense that you've got to see what is coming. Combining a study with breaks, activities like exercise and hobbies are important. And I want to stress that again. Habits, activities like exercise, hobbies are important because it give you a mental break between study sessions. Very, very important, maintain balance. I think that is sometimes we tend to feel a little unbalanced because we are either focusing too much on games and co-curriculars and not enough on studies, and inevitably you have a sense of guilt that that happens by the way even when you're studying a lot. You tend to feel, should I be exercising a little bit more? Should I be running? Should I be with my friends, etc.? So achieve that balance. Often it's very helpful if you make a plan like the one you can see on the screen. I want to keep this slide on for about 30 seconds for you to read. This is from Warren Buffett. As you know, he's very successful. He's about 90 plus now. And it's from him. You've got to learn to say to a number of things. Most great people say no most of the time. I often tell people, it's a philosophy I believe in, if you ask me for something while I'm walking down the corridor, it's probably going to be no. The reason is, I like to think it through. Can you raise your hands? How many of you find it difficult to say no? Raise your hands. At least be honest. Many of us do actually. Thank you. That's very good actually. Learn how to say no. First step, the place where you study. When I enter your study space or in the boarding or even in your house, is it clean and neat? My table was very untidy a few days back. It was very liberating for me to chuck out everything from my table. Very liberating. And I use the word liberating deliberately. I just feel a neat table is not always indicative of a neat mind, but it does help. What are the things you can do? First of all, turn off all notifications from your phone, from everywhere. One of the things I shudder every time it happens in a public platform where there's a meeting, a phone rings or there's a notification. Ideally, for courtesy, it should be off. Same applies to your study table. Silence your phone, your laptop, notifications, and turn on do not disturb. You must be working ideally in the same study space or work area every day. It just helps. I think one of the things we got to get used to is where we sit our exams. If it's A1, A2, or in the room, or in the old PY block, Cambridge block, get used to that space. If you have a dedicated space where you can study or work, you will be more focused. Never ever study on your bed or your couch because that space is associated with leisure. Your study space, on the other hand, is associated with work. Keep only essentials nearby. That means any notebooks, pens, laptops, whatever you need. It reduces the urge to engage with unrelated items. One of the commonest things I see, and I'm talking about myself as well, the urge to pick up the phone every time there is a slight ping, resist that urge. Use time management techniques, and there are many out there. There is the Pomodoro technique, which I will talk about right now in a bit, and set boundaries, okay? Set boundaries it's often unpopular. Ask your family or your housemates or your friends that this is my time, study time, and I don't want to talk now. Can I have the housewives please again? How many of you find it difficult to tell your friends that I'm studying now, can you not disturb me? Very common, far more common than we care to admit. Okay, but do it. Remember, it's the power of saying no. But tell your family, it's pretty easy. Tell your family, tell your husband, tell your friends, this is my study time. Please don't disturb me, and so that there is very little interruption. I find this one very important, which is breaking large tasks into small steps. What happens is that when I start studying, you mustn't say I'm going to finish page 81 to page 181 in 1 hour. It's not going to be possible. Make sure what you want to achieve is achievable. Okay, I have got 1 hour. Optimistically, I can finish about 10 pages. If you feel optimistically you can finish 10 pages, realistically you probably will be able to do only 8. Break it down into small, manageable chunks, which helps you feel better about yourself. I think all of us need to realize that the brain can't work continuously or ceaselessly. It needs time to assimilate and consolidate. And I've said this before, limit internet distractions. An organized workspace and actively minimizing distractions will help productivity, help you focus and be more efficient. Very time testing. If you want, you can do this. But the 25 minutes that you want to do focus study must be 25 minutes. It mustn't be in the middle of in the 15th minute I suddenly get up and feel that I need to do something else. It's a 5-minute break after 25 minutes. After 2 hours, you can reward yourself by having an extended break. Okay? Now, the SQ4R technique is, I find it very useful. The first thing you've got to do is read about the topic. Read closely. As you read, you record by making notes. It's proven again and again that handwritten notes help with retention, so you may want to consider handwriting your notes. Motivation, use stationery that you like. Review. Go back and review your notes. To review your notes the right way, you need to have what is called a deep processing technique. In deep processing, what happens is that you associate information with things that have meaning, which is relativity. For example, if you're learning about historical political parties, for instance, identify similarities between historical and modern political parties. Once you start comparing, you will remember and understand both better. Sometimes applying knowledge to real life also helps. If you're learning about statistical tests, for example, look up examples of how these tests are applied in real life. Now, I think for me, the most important is retrieval. Can I have the housewives again? Let's be honest. How many of you study, but never test yourself? You never sit back, close the book, and say, let's see how much you remember. Raise your hands. We all do it, by the way. I think you're being quite naive if you don't admit it. We relentlessly study. Sometimes many of us make notes, but we never test ourselves. What do? We simply feel that it's there in the brain. Actually, what happens is that you are then giving into what is called the forgetting curve. The forgetting curve needs to be disrupted. Retrieval allows that. What retrieval does is that you have to actively learn to recall whatever you have learned. This is the step that most of us miss, and it is not simply about rereading the notes, it's about understanding and retrieving them. Again, I'm going to ask you a question. The easiest way to understand or do best in exams is to set out or write a series series of questions that your teacher may ask. How many of you have done it? You have read the chapter, let's say. Have you asked yourself, these are the possible questions my teacher might ask. Have you flipped the roles? Most of us don't do it. Flip the roles. Imagine yourself as a teacher and think that, okay, my teacher is probably going to ask me this. Try and do it. It is usually very successful. You can read the little thing at the bottom, but he's the Nobel Prize winner for physics, and he said that if you're explaining something to someone who has no prior knowledge, in such a scenario you would only be able to use, you should be able to use simple terms, no technical jargon or phrases. If you find that you cannot explain something to someone in simple terms, it means that you haven't understood it enough. So two things happen when you try to explain something to somebody. It's called peer learning. It's tremendous as a technique. Explain it to one of your friends. Remember, as you explain, there are two things that's happening. Retrieval is happening. You're remembering what you just learned. And the second thing that's happening is that you're showing understanding. You've understood, therefore you could retrieve it, therefore you could explain it. It's one of the techniques I often say to parents should happen a lot in the boarding. You should teach each other. And when you say things out loud, if the last time you said things out loud, you're very conscious if you make a mistake, right, of your fumbling. That helps you to understand that I've really not understood it perhaps. Now, this is the Eisenhower matrix. I'll explain it. So, how does one prioritize tasks? The urgent, there are 4 quadrants. The urgent is things like meeting deadlines for school projects. These are critical tasks. They go on in green. Meeting deadlines for school projects, attending urgent meetings, do these things right away. Because they have what is called negative outcomes. You can actually draw this in your notebook and say, if it's urgent, I'm going to do it right away, the green. The quadrant 2, which is important but not urgent, you can schedule it. For example, long-term project planning, exercise, self-care, learning new skills, building relationships and networking. These are not urgent, but they need to be scheduled. They are crucial for long-term success, but do not need your immediate attention. That's quadrant 2 on the right-hand side of the real world. Quadrant 3 is urgent but not important, which is the bottom one, which is delegation. It means you're answering, you delegate to yourself. You say that, okay, it's not an important email, it's not an important phone call, I can always get back later. These are non-critical emails, non-critical phone calls. Supposing you want to attend a meeting where your input is not really required, and minor issues. The last one, on the right-hand side, is not urgent and not important. Eliminate all of this. A few examples. Mindless scrolling through Instagram, watching unnecessary TV shows, engaging in unproductive activities. You tell me later on who said it. The worst discussion is about individuals, the best discussion is about ideas. Who said that? Somebody great must have said it. The worst discussion is about individuals, when we talk about each other. And the best discussion is when you're having discussion about ideas. So, I'll repeat that. The quadrant on the right-hand side is delete. Tasks that have little value do not contribute to achieving your goals. Wasted your time. There are many ways by which you can handle stress, many ways. I'd like to focus on this. At the top is exercising. Go out for a walk at the very least. I don't think any of you realize how blessed you are to have a campus like this. Okay, it's filled with trees. It's unbelievable. 140 acres of pure air. Ride the bike, I think most of you do it, but at least walk. Okay. I'd like you to do mindfulness and meditation, but it's often harder to do. Mindfulness is just being present in the moment. Don't think too much about the past, you cannot control it. Don't think too much about the future, you cannot control it. Be present in the moment. Anything, exercise could be anything. It could be yoga, it could be strength training, it could be cycling, anything. It could be playing sports, of course. Now, deep breathing is something that I would like most of the people who are going in for exams to do. It's a simple 4-7-8 method. You inhale for about 4 seconds consciously, feel your breath. Can I have the lights, please? Let's try and do it. Okay, start breathing in. Yeah, I can feel it. Yeah. 4 seconds. Hold your breath for about 7 seconds. Feel the breath in your lungs. And now let it out for about 8 seconds. Slowly, don't rush it. You're going to do it before an exam. I think all grade girls, can you stand up please? Only grade girls. That's better than breathing, because I noticed that some of you have decided to think that while you are sleeping, you can still listen to me. You can sit down now. That should have shaken things up. Okay. Deep breathing is important. I'd like you to do yoga. It's not possible, always. If you do it as a regular practice, it gives a lot of benefits. Journaling. I think all of us need to have a gratitude journal. As many people have said it. I think Ms. Rishti here, she said it most of the time. Have a gratitude journal. Just say things, write in it that today I'm grateful for such things. These are the things I'm grateful for. It will take you just 10 seconds, it will make you feel good. And repeat again, breaking down larger tasks into smaller tasks which are prioritized. Grade 11, would you mind standing up? Great, you're listening more actively, I think. Okay, sit down. Okay. Staying organized with notes and materials. These are the things you could use. Anything, just to make it more interesting. I'll not go over it in any detail, but you can use Google Drive if you want. The one thing I always tell my students is date and time your notes. I think that's very much, even your files. I think many of you save your files writing version 1.1, 1.1, 1.2, or version God knows what, latest, something. Just put a date. Save your file with date, that's it. 24, 25th, 9, 2024. That's it. You then don't need to go into versions. This is what I was referring to when I said about the forgetting curve. You have got to disrupt it. You have got to review and reflect. Keep going back to it. If you don't review and reflect, it's likely that you will forget. You've got to disrupt the forgetting curve. Keep going back to them. Keep reviewing your notes. Especially helpful for retaining information in your long-term exams. Especially longer exams for long-term memory. Spaced learning is very important. You've got to review your notes, go back to them again and again. Use your breaks wisely. How many of you, at least Raise your hands. Yeah. Again, research actually shows that the shower is a perfect environment for creativity. If you're stuck on something, actually think it through in the shower. Don't waste water, of course, but yeah. It just allows for more mental clarity and productivity while studying. Take the break, but use the word wisely. Settle down, people. Now, grade 8, can you stand up? Down. Okay. Sit. Now, this is something I'm repeating. You should take notes when learning something for the first time. When reviewing a note, talk to others about it. And I cannot repeat that enough. When you have learned something for the first time, share it with others. It just helps. Attending classes, studying for exams, making friends, and taking time to relax and decompress can quickly fill up your schedule. You often find yourself wishing there were more hours in the day. This session should have offered some time management tips you can accomplish and what you need to get done. Have fun with your friends, gain back some valuable time for yourself. And I'll leave you with this. It's an actual example of being mindful. And just one little phrase. If you feel that there's a thing called luck, it's called chance favors the prepared mind. Remember this. There is no such thing as luck or chance. If you are prepared, destiny will be in your grasp. Okay? Thank you very much.